Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with me.
I'm so glad to be here.
Today we're going to be exploring something pretty profound, I think, and that is the idea that trauma can echo through generations
Yeah.
and what we can actually do about it to heal from that inherited pain.
Mm-hmm.
And to guide us on this journey, we're diving deep into Mark Wolynn's book, It Didn't Start With You.
Such a great book.
It's a really good book, and get ready for some major aha moments. Because this book really digs into how the weight of our ancestors' unresolved traumas might actually be playing out in our own lives, like in our fears, our anxieties,
Dark patterns,
even,
fires.
yeah, recurring patterns, and even like physical issues.
I think what's really fascinating about this book is that it brings in the science to validate these ideas.
Okay.
We're not just talking about anecdotal stories or, family lore, but there are actual biological mechanisms that can transmit trauma across generations.
Yeah, it's like we inherit more than just, our grandparents' nose or their eye color.
Right.
Like we want to inherit some of their emotional baggage too.
Yeah.
And Wolynn really dives into the science behind it.
Yeah,
And he
he
starts with epigenetics.
Oh, this is such a fascinating area of study.
It is.
Essentially, epigenetics is the study of how our environment and our experiences can actually change the way our genes work
Okay.
without altering the underlying DNA sequence.
So it's not like it's changing our DNA.
It's not changing our DNA,
Okay.
but it's changing how those genes are expressed.
Gotcha.
So think of it this way. You have the hardware, which is your genes,
Yeah.
right? And then you have the software, which is the epigenetic markers that tell those genes how to operate.
Okay, so it's like the epigenetic markers are kind of like the instruction,
Exactly.
the instruction manual.
Got it.
Yeah.
So imagine like a traumatic event happens, right?
Mhm.
It's such a powerful experience that it can actually leave like a chemical sticky note on certain genes, and that changes how they function,
Exactly. And those
Uh-huh.
sticky notes can get passed down through generations.
influencing how our genes express themselves.
So like if my great-grandmother, let's say, lived through a famine, could that experience actually change her genes in a way that then gets passed down to me and makes me, more prone to anxiety around food or something?
It's a possibility.
Wow.
We're still learning about the complexities of epigenetics, but the research really does suggest that these kinds of transgenerational effects are real.
That's mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing.
And he doesn't stop there. He also talks about microRNA, these tiny molecules that play a big role in regulating how genes express themselves.
Yeah, and what's interesting, studies are showing that stress can really disrupt these microRNAs,
Okay.
leading to irregularities that can be passed down as well through generations.
Oh, wow.
And again, it just highlights how deeply interconnected we are to our ancestors, not just through, stories and traditions, but like at this biological level.
Yeah, it really makes you think about that family tree in a whole different way.
It does.
And there's some really compelling research that he brings up on Holocaust survivors and their children,
Yes.
where both generations showed low levels of cortisol, which is a hormone linked to stress response.
That's a key finding because it really suggests that there's this biological predisposition to trauma response.
Right.
It's not just that the children grew up hearing stories about the Holocaust.
Right.
It's that they might have actually inherited this vulnerability to experiencing similar stress responses.
Okay, so we're seeing these biological connections, but Wolynn also talks about this idea of the family body and the family mind.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
Well, it's this idea that we're all part of a larger system, right? This web of interconnectedness that extends way beyond just our individual selves. And trauma can be transmitted through the system even before conception.
Before conception?
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
Well, he talks about this really incredible concept called the three-generation body. So imagine an egg cell that will eventually become you is already present in your mother's womb while she's still in her mother's womb.
Whoa.
That means that there's a potential for exposure to the grandmother's environment and experiences very early on.
So I'm connected to my grandmother.
In a sense,
Even
yeah.
before my mom is born.
Exactly.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And then there's the in utero environment too, right?
Absolutely.
Like, think about the stress hormones that a mother releases during pregnancy.
Yeah.
If she's experiencing a traumatic event or she's under a lot of stress.
Right.
Those hormones can actually impact the developing fetus.
They can.
And even influencing their stress response system and even brain development.
And it can even, pre-program their nervous system
Right.
to be more reactive or sensitive to stress.
So it's like this multi-layered inheritance of trauma.
Right.
It's not just one thing.
It's not just one thing.
We might inherit predispositions through epigenetics and microRNA, and then those are further shaped by the environment we're exposed to in the womb.
And even our early childhood experiences, it all kind of layers on top of each other.
Wow.
Yeah.
And to add another layer to all of this, Wolynn brings in Bert Hellinger's concept of the family conscience.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so family conscience, what is that all about?
Well, it's this idea that every family has a kind of collective unconscious, right?
Okay.
This set of unspoken rules and beliefs and patterns
That's
that
right.
just get passed down through generations.
So even if I don't know like the specifics of my grandfather's traumatic experiences, I might still be carrying the weight of that trauma in some way.
You might, and it might show up as anxieties or relationship patterns or even physical ailments that seem to have no logical explanation.
Oh, wow. So that's kind of a lot to take in.
It is.
But it's also, I think, empowering in a way. Because if we can start to understand these patterns, then we can start to maybe break free from them.
Exactly.
So how do we actually start unpacking our own inherited trauma?
Yeah.
Where do we even begin?
Well, Wolynn gives us some tools,
Okay.
and it all begins with something he calls core language.
Core language. Okay. I like that this sounds like there's a core to this.
There is.
Let's get to the core of it.
Exactly. So core language is really about pinpointing those emotionally charged phrases that capture our deepest fears, anxieties, or negative beliefs.
Okay.
So these are phrases that often pop up in our self-talk or our reactions to situations.
So if I'm constantly worrying about being abandoned or feeling like I'm not good enough,
Yes.
those could be clues to my core language.
Absolutely. Those are great examples.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And Wolynn encourages us to really pay attention to how those phrases resonate in our body.
Oh, okay.
Say them out loud and notice what sensations arise.
Okay.
Do you feel a tightness in your chest, a knot in your stomach?
Interesting.
Those physical sensations can be powerful indicators.
Okay, this is getting pretty introspective.
It is.
Like it.
And once you've identified your core language, the next step is connecting it back to your family history.
Okay.
And Wolynn introduces what he calls bridge questions to do this.
Bridge questions. Okay, what are those?
So these are questions that are designed to help us draw connections between our core language and potential traumatic events in our family history.
Gotcha.
So for example, if your core language is around fear of failure, a bridge question might be, was there someone in my family who experienced a major setback or failure that was never really resolved?
Oh, that's interesting. Or like if my core language is about, feeling unworthy of love, I might ask, was there someone in my family who is abandoned or rejected?
Precisely.
Okay.
And what's so fascinating is you don't necessarily even need to know the specific details of your family history for this to work.
Oh, really?
Sometimes just asking the question and being open to the possibility of a connection can be enough to start shifting things.
Wow, that's powerful. Just the question itself.
Yeah.
And Wolynn provides some really compelling examples of this in the book, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah.
There's Gretchen, whose intense fear of death turned out to be connected to her grandmother's experience in the Holocaust, even though Gretchen had never heard the story directly.
Wow.
And then there's Lorena, whose fear of going crazy mirrored her grandfather's institutionalization for mental illness.
That's intense.
It is, and these stories really illustrate how deeply these ancestral experiences can impact us often without our conscious awareness.
Right. It's like
Yeah.
we're carrying this stuff around. We don't even know where it's coming from.
Exactly.
And that's going to be, I think, part of the reason why sometimes healing is so difficult, because
Absolutely.
we don't know what we're even trying to heal.
Right, we don't know what we're working with.
Exactly.
So this brings it to light.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm starting to get a sense of this process,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Identify my core language,
Yeah.
ask bridge questions, look for connections in my family history.
Yeah.
But how far back do I need to go?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, do I need to be tracing my lineage back to the Middle Ages or something?
Well, it can feel overwhelming, but Wolynn suggests focusing on the past 3 generations. So your parents, your grandparents, and your great-grandparents.
Good starting point.
Keep it manageable.
Keep it manageable.
Okay.
He also introduces a helpful tool called a genogram.
A genogram? What is that? So it's basically like a family tree, but with insights.
Oh, I like that. A family tree with insight.
Yeah. So a genogram maps out your family relationships and key events, including any significant traumas, early deaths, or recurring patterns.
Okay.
It's a really powerful visual tool for spotting themes and gaining a deeper understanding of how your family history might be influencing you.
Okay, so I'd create this genogram, and then I'd look for connections between the patterns that I see there and my core language.
Exactly.
That makes sense. It kind of gives you a visual representation of all this stuff.
Exactly. It starts to piece together a narrative
Yeah.
of how Certain experiences and beliefs might have been passed down through the generations.
Wow. This is starting to make sense.
Yeah.
But let's say I've done all that right. I've identified my core language. I've asked those bridge questions. I've created a genogram. And I've found some pretty strong links to ancestral trauma.
Yeah.
What happens next? How do I actually begin to heal from this inherited pain?
That's the crucial question.
It is.
And Wolynn offers a variety of approaches, and they all begin with awareness.
Okay.
He emphasizes the power of acknowledging and addressing the unresolved traumas from the past, both our own and those of our ancestors.
So facing those old wounds head on.
Yeah, but doing so with compassion and understanding.
With compassion, okay.
Yeah, remember, our ancestors often did the best they could with what they had.
Right.
Their choices and actions were shaped by the circumstances and beliefs of their time.
That's a really important point because it's easy to judge past generations, but we have to remember that they lived in very different worlds than we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with that understanding, we can begin to shift our perspective and create space for healing.
So how do we do that?
Well, Wolin suggests engaging in compassionate inner dialogue with the family members involved in the trauma.
Okay.
And he even offers examples of what he calls healing sentences.
Healing sentences, okay.
Phrases that express understanding forgiveness or a commitment to break free from that cycle of pain.
So I might say something like, I understand why you made the choices you did, and I forgive you.
Yes.
Or, I release the burden of your pain, and I choose to live a life filled with joy and purpose in honor of your struggles, or something like that.
Those are beautiful examples.
Okay.
The key is to find words that resonate with you and feel authentic to your experience.
Right.
You might even imagine having a conversation with your ancestor, expressing your feelings and offering them comfort and compassion.
Wow, that's powerful.
It is.
But is saying these healing sentences enough to break free from inherited trauma?
Well, healing is a journey, not a one-time event.
Right.
So Wolin offers a number of practices and rituals that can help deepen and sustain the healing process.
Okay, I'm all about tangible actions. So what kind of practices and rituals are we talking about?
Well, one practice is to place a photograph of the ancestor that you're working with on your desk.
Okay.
And engage in regular visualization exercises.
I like that.
Yeah. You might visualize that ancestor being surrounded by love and light, or imagine yourself gently releasing the burden of their trauma.
Okay.
You might try lighting a candle and visualizing your ancestor's spirit being healed and at peace.
Mm-hmm.
Another powerful practice is writing a letter to that ancestor,
Okay.
expressing your feelings or offering forgiveness.
Okay.
And if you're drawn to more symbolic actions, you can even create a visualization of yourself cutting energetic cords that bind you to those old patterns of suffering.
Oh, that's interesting.
Or stepping out of a circle that represents the family trauma.
So I might visualize myself like cutting a cord or
Oh,
stepping
yes.
out of a circle.
Yeah, finding what resonates with you and creates a sense of empowerment and agency in your healing journey. And what's so powerful about these practices is they're not just, woo-woo, feel-good techniques.
Right.
They're actually backed by science.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're learning more and more about the brain's incredible capacity for change.
Like neuroplasticity.
Exactly, neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
So even though these inherited traumas might have left a mark on our brains, we have the power to create new neural pathways.
So we can rewire ourselves,
Yeah.
essentially.
That's the incredible power of neuroplasticity.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love that.
it's really cool.
So it's not about erasing the past, it's about building a new future.
Exactly.
And we do that through, repeated intentional actions like these visualizations and these rituals.
By repeatedly engaging in those healing visualizations, affirmations, rituals, we're strengthening those new pathways and weakening the old trauma-influenced ones.
It's like building a new bridge over a chasm instead of trying to repair the rickety old one.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It's a great one.
It feels so empowering to know that we're not just stuck with these inherited patterns.
We actually have choices.
We do.
I love that.
And it's not just about individual healing,
Right.
It's about breaking the cycle for future generations.
That makes me wonder, if I do this work and I heal my own inherited trauma, does that automatically prevent my children from inheriting it?
That's the million-dollar question, and unfortunately, there's no easy answer.
Yeah.
We know that healing ourselves can create a more positive and supportive environment for our children.
Right.
But research on the transgenerational impact of healing is still in its early stages.
So I guess it's kind of like the butterfly effect.
Mm-hmm.
Even small changes that we make in our own lives can have ripple effects for generations to come.
Precisely.
Wow. Okay, so there's hope.
There's a lot of hope.
I love that.
And here's another really powerful idea from the book.
Okay.
Wolynn emphasizes that healing doesn't always have to be about uncovering specific events or traumas.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes it's simply about shifting our internal experience. So even if I don't know all the details of my family's past, or if some information is lost or hidden, I can still find healing.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, it's about cultivating a sense of peace, compassion, and wholeness within yourself, regardless of the specifics of your family history.
Wow, this has been such an incredible deep dive.
It has.
I feel like I'm looking at myself and my family in a whole new light.
Yeah.
What are some key takeaways that our listener can walk away with today?
Well, first and foremost, you are not alone.
Yeah.
Inherited family trauma is far more common than we realize.
So true.
And recognizing that is the first step toward breaking free.
It's like we've been carrying these invisible burdens for generations.
We have.
Yeah.
The next takeaway is this awareness is key.
Okay.
Pay attention to your core language, those recurring fears and anxieties.
Okay.
Ask yourself those bridge questions.
Okay.
Who in my family might have felt this way? What events might have contributed to this pattern?
And remember, we have tools, right?
We do.
Creating a genogram, using healing sentences, engaging in visualization practices and rituals.
Absolutely.
All of these things can help us shift our internal experience and begin to heal.
They can.
And finally, remember that healing is a journey, not a destination.
It is a journey.
Right.
Be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
Celebrate your progress and never underestimate the power of compassion, both for yourself and for those who came before you.
It's been such an inspiring conversation.
Agreed.
Listener, I'll leave you with this. What is one small step you could take today to honor the legacy of your ancestors while creating a brighter future for yourself and for generations to come?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I think it's something to really ponder.
It is. So much of what we're talking about is understanding the way that those experiences live in our bodies. You know, it's one thing to intellectually understand this concept of inherited trauma,
Yeah.
but it's another thing to actually feel it
Right?
in our cells, in our nervous system.
Right, like where do we feel it?
Exactly. And that's where these practices and rituals come in.
Okay, so give us some more examples of what those might look like.
Well, let's say you've identified a particular ancestor who you feel a strong connection to.
Okay.
Maybe someone who you suspect experienced a significant trauma.
Okay.
One powerful practice is to simply place a photograph of that ancestor on your desk or somewhere where you'll see it regularly.
Okay.
And then take some time each day to sit with that photo and engage in a visualization exercise.
I like that.
Yeah, you might visualize that ancestor being surrounded by a warm, healing light.
Mm-hmm.
Or imagine yourself gently releasing the burden of their trauma from your own body.
Like I'm physically listing it off of me.
Exactly. You can even use your hands to make that gesture
Wow.
of lifting and releasing.
I like that.
Yeah, and notice what you feel in your body as you do that.
That's powerful.
It is.
Okay, what else?
Another really simple but effective practice is to light a candle.
Okay.
And as you gaze at the flame, visualize your ancestor's spirit being healed and finding peace. You might even say a prayer or an affirmation for their healing.
Right. And if you're more of a writer, you can try writing a letter to that ancestor.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah, just expressing your feelings or offering forgiveness or simply acknowledging their pain.
So just getting it out on paper?
Exactly. It can be really cathartic.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier about cutting those energetic cords.
Yes.
What does that look like in practice?
So this is a more symbolic practice,
Okay.
but it can be very powerful.
Okay.
Essentially, you're using visualization to create a sense of separation
Okay.
between yourself and those unhealthy patterns or entanglements that you've inherited.
Okay, so I might visualize myself like cutting a cord that connects me to my grandmother's anxiety or something.
Exactly. You can use an imaginary sword or scissors.
Oh, I love it.
Whatever feels right for you.
Okay.
And as you cut the cord, visualize that anxiety flowing out of your body and dissolving into the light.
Wow, that's powerful.
It is.
It's like I can almost feel it just imagining it.
Right. And that's the thing about visualization.
Our brains don't necessarily distinguish between what's real and what's imagined.
That's true.
So when we engage in these practices with intention and focus,
Mm-hmm.
they can actually create real changes in our nervous system.
That's amazing.
It is, and that's where the science of neuroplasticity comes in.
Okay, let's talk more about that because I think that's a really important piece of this puzzle.
Absolutely. So neuroplasticity refers to the brain's ability to change and reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout
Yeah.
life.
So it's not like our brains are fixed.
No, they're not fixed at all.
Okay.
They're constantly evolving and adapting.
So even though these inherited traumas may have left a mark on our brains, we actually have the power to create new pathways, to essentially rewire ourselves.
That's the incredible thing about
I
neuroplasticity.
love that.
It gives us so much hope.
It does.
Yeah, it means that we're not just victims of our past. We
Right.
have the power to change our present and our future.
So it's not about erasing the past. It's
Uh.
about building a new future. And we do that through these repeated intentional actions,
Right.
like these visualizations and these rituals.
And even just by becoming aware of these patterns, we're
Mhm.
starting to create those new pathways.
That's amazing.
It is.
Okay, so it's like we're building a bridge over a chasm instead of trying to repair, the rickety old bridge.
That's a great analogy. I love that.
It feels so empowering to know that we have choices.
We do have choices, and it's not just about individual healing. It's
Right.
about breaking the cycle for future generations.
That makes me wonder, if I do this work and I heal my own inherited trauma, will it automatically prevent my children from inheriting it?
That's the million-dollar question, and unfortunately, we don't have a definitive answer yet.
Yeah.
The research on the transgenerational impact of healing is still in its early stages.
Right.
But what we do know is that healing ourselves creates a more positive and supportive environment for our children.
Right.
So even if we can't completely erase the possibility of transmission,
Yeah.
we can certainly mitigate the impact.
And I guess it's kind of like that butterfly effect, right?
Absolutely.
Even small changes that we make in our own lives can have ripple effects for generations to come.
Precisely.
That's hopeful.
It is very hopeful.
And here's another really powerful idea from the book.
Okay.
Wolynn emphasizes that healing doesn't always have to be about uncovering specific events or traumas.
Yes,
Sometimes it's simply about shifting our internal experience.
exactly.
So even if I don't know all the details of my family's past, or if some information is lost or hidden, I can still find healing.
Absolutely. It's about cultivating a sense of peace, compassion, and wholeness within yourself, regardless of the specifics of your family history.
Wow, this has been such an incredible deep dive.
It has been.
I feel like I'm looking at myself and my family in a whole new light.
Me too.
What are some key takeaways that our listener can walk away with today?
Well, first and foremost, you are not alone.
Ah.
Inherited family trauma is far more common than we realize.
Yeah.
And recognizing that is the first step toward breaking free.
It's like we've been carrying these invisible burdens for generations.
We have.
Yeah.
And the next takeaway, awareness, is key.
Okay.
Pay attention to your core language,
Mhm.
those recurring fears and anxieties.
Okay.
Ask yourself those bridge questions.
Yeah.
Who in my family might have felt this way?
Mm-hmm.
What events might have contributed to this pattern?
And remember, we have tools.
We do.
Creating a genogram,
Yes.
using healing sentences, engaging in visualization practices and rituals.
Those are all powerful tools.
All of these things can help us shift our internal experience and begin to heal.
They can.
And finally, remember that healing is a journey, not a destination.
It's an ongoing process.
Be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
Celebrate your progress, and never underestimate the power of compassion, both for yourself and for those who came before you.
So well said. I love that.
It's been such an inspiring conversation.
I agree.
Listener, I'll leave you with this. What is one small step you can take today to honor the legacy of your ancestors while creating a brighter future for yourself and for generations to come?
That's a beautiful question to ponder. It's interesting because when we talk about healing from inherited trauma, it's not always about pinpointing a specific event,
Oh,
or having this complete detailed family history.
Okay.
Sometimes it's more about shifting our internal experience.
So even if I don't know all the details
Mhm.
of, my great-grandmother's life,
Exactly.
I can still find healing.
Absolutely. It's about cultivating a sense of peace, compassion, and wholeness within yourself, regardless of the specifics of your family history.
So it's more about the internal state
Yeah.
and the external circumstances.
It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose how we respond to these inherited patterns.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
So it's not about, like you said, erasing the past. It's about creating a new future.
exactly. And it's about recognizing that we are not just our ancestors.
Right.
We are also ourselves.
We are a combination
We are a combination
of all of it.
of everything that came before us.
Wow. This has been such an incredible deep dive.
It has.
I feel like I'm looking at myself and my family in a whole new light.
Me too.
What are some key takeaways that our listener can walk away with today?
Well, first and foremost, I think the biggest takeaway is that you're not alone.
Yeah.
Inherited family trauma is far more common than we realize.
So true.
And just recognizing that is a huge step towards healing.
Yeah. It normalizes it in a way.
Exactly. Takes away the shame and the isolation.
Because it's easy to feel like, oh, this is just me.
Absolutely.
There's something wrong with me.
But the truth is that so many of us are carrying these invisible burdens
We are.
from the past.
And we don't even realize it.
Right. And that's why awareness is so key.
Okay.
Pay attention to your core language, those recurring fears and anxieties.
Okay.
Ask yourself those bridge questions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who in my family might have felt this way? What events might have contributed to this pattern?
And remember, we have tools.
We do. We have so many tools.
Creating a genogram, using healing sentences, engaging in visualization practices and rituals.
Yes, all of these things can help us shift our internal experience and begin to heal.
And I think the most important takeaway is that healing is a journey. It's not a destination.
Absolutely. It's an ongoing process.
Be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress, and never underestimate the power of compassion, both for yourself and for those who came before you.
Beautifully said. I love that.
This has been such a powerful conversation.
I agree.
Listener, I'll leave you with this. What is one small step that you can take today to honor the legacy of your ancestors while creating a brighter future for yourself and for generations to come?
What a beautiful question.